welcome back to Yesterday Today. I'm Jake Westbrook. This chap next to me is my own flesh and blood brother, McLean Westbrook. And today on the show, we have a doorbell ringing. McLean, will you please answer the door? This is the worst timing, but I will wait while you do that.
Don't know why I have to answer the door around here, but alright. I guess Jake gets introduction duties and I get door answering duties. I will be right back.
I will wait.
Hello, is there something I can help you with?
Why, I got your milk delivery here, mister. 2 quarts whole and 1 quart cream.
Milk delivery? We didn't order any milk here.
Oh, well, I got a contract signed by Mr. Sidney Snorthoff for this address. Been delivering your milk for a couple weeks now on my route.
Okay, I probably know what that is. Yeah, here, I can take that.
Yep. Got this milk here from Homogenized this morning.
You got it from Homogenized?
Yep, name the cow that. This way we can say we're giving you homogenized milk with a straight face.
Wait, so it's raw milk?
Raw? It don't look pink in the middle to me, does it, mister?
Huh?
Just a little milkman humor for you there, mister. Well, better be moving along now. You ain't the only customer on the block.
Oh, thank you? Say, Jake, you wouldn't happen to know why Sydney would be signing a contract to have milk delivered here, would you?
I would not. That is a large jug of milk. Where'd you get that? Who was at the door?
That was from apparently our milkman.
We have a milkman.
We do now, I guess.
Sydney! Sid!
Yeah, what can I do you for?
Sydney, I'm rather curious as to why I just met a man outside.
Yeah.
And he tells me that you signed a contract to have milk delivered here every week.
Milk. I signed a contract to have milk. You know what? I believe I did do that about last week. Yep.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why are there regular milk deliveries at our studio now?
It's a rather personal question. I don't know why I need to answer that.
How is this a personal question, Sydney?
Okay. If you're gonna pry into my personal
This is literally
life...
my business.
Yeah, it's literally our studio, Sydney. Our studio space that you're delivering the milk to. So, I mean...
Well, you'll recall a couple weeks back, I informed you that I had taken up cheese making as a hobby, and this man's milk was the best milk I could find, so I'm just having it delivered here, where I can make the cheese in my little office.
Wait, you have an office?
Well, it was a closet, but it is an office now. I put a filing cabinet in it.
Sydney, might I intrigue? Could I perhaps pose the question, could I be so bold to ask, why are you making so much cheese?
Again, very personal. I don't think I have to answer that. Do I need to sick room your security guard on you? I just met him earlier today. Big guy.
Oh yeah, Mondo. I forgot the landlord hired Mondo.
Oh, somebody call for Mondo!
No, false alarm, big fella.
Okay, me will be over here staring at the wall if you need me. That wall, very suspicious looking, it needs staring at. So, me is proud to do me duty for God and country. Okay, tally ho.
Staring at the wall is probably the least harmful thing Mondo could be doing right now.
Yeah.
Sydney, just tell me we're not footing the bill for any of this milk or cheese business.
Well, what happens is, he gives me the milk, I make it into cheese, I give the cheese back to him, he sells the cheese, I make a profit off the cheese, he has not sold any cheese yet, I'm starting to doubt I'm gonna see profit, but it's fun and it keeps me off the streets.
Well, you know what, whatever floats your boat, man.
This is ridiculous, but probably the most harmless thing.
You have gotten us way off track here, Sydney. The theme of our show today is college. Collegiate matters, college life, as it's that time of year again.
Did you say college?
Yes, college.
Funny you should mention that. I mean, I'll tell you after this, I'll tell you after the next show, but, I got a funny story to tell you.
I am not excited to hear this.
I'm mildly interested. The first show we have for you today is an episode of The Halls of Ivy, the classic, college-based sitcom starring Ronald Colman and his wife.
Not enough college-based sitcoms, in my opinion.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin presents The Halls of Ivy. I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous. If you like good beer, you'll find it pays to be curious and learn about Schlitz for yourself. Now, the Halls of Ivy. That surround us here today, and we will not forget, though we depart far away. Welcome again to Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. Music, as we all know, has always played a large part in college life. And most college presidents enjoy it in all its forms, from the students' whip and poof song through Beethoven's Ninth, right up to that most musical of all sounds, the rustle of a big fat endowment check. Dr. William Todd Hunter Hall, the president of Ivy, bows to no one when it comes to music appreciation. In fact, he's even an accomplished performer, something his wife, the former Victoria Cromwell of the English stage, never knew until this evening. At the moment, both are seated on the porch of their home, and Mrs. Hall says,
"That instrument is known as a what?"
It's known as a recorder.
No, the other name you said.
Well, it's known as a recorder or fiddle flute.
Sorry, it sounds just as though you were saying fiddle flute.
I am saying fiddle flute. Fiddle flute.
Why on earth is it called that?
Obviously because it happens to be a flute equipped with a fiddle.
Oh.
I don't know what there is to laugh at. A fiddle is merely a plug or stopper in the upper end of it. It's a very ancient and honorable instrument, and possessed of a really lovely tone. Would you like to hear it?
Very much.
All right, here goes. You must remember I haven't played in years.
Well, darling, since birth I have been accustomed only to the finest in fiddle flute playing. But I shall lower my exacting standards for this occasion.
Good. It has a really lovely tone. Now listen. I wasn't even sure I still had it, but luckily I remembered that large trunk in the attic, and there it was, wrapped
Toddy,
in a...
proceed to fiddle.
Well, you see, if you don't think it has a really lovely tone. Well, that must be Professor Quincannon now.
Well, don't go in. Penny'll answer it. Did he say you'll be summoned by telephone?
I don't remember. You know, when he told me I was being considered for membership in this club, I was really bowled over. Oh, has it rung off?
No, Penny's answered it. What's it all about, anyway?
Well, it was quite unexpected. Quincannon simply fell in with me as I was walking home the other evening and said he and a few other faculty members were starting this club. The Ivy Once-a-Week Chamber Music and Knockwurst Society. I gather we are to meet once a week, play chamber music, and eat knockwurst.
Yes, the name is subtly suggestive of that.
Yes, it is. Well, he said they wanted about a dozen good men. He and the other moving spirits would vote on them all, of course, and asked me if I played any musical instruments. I said yes, the fiddle flute. And he laughed and said he'd be seeing me. Oh, Penny.
Yes, sir?
What did he say?
Say, sir?
Yes, the telephone, just now.
Oh, he said, listen, baby, don't ask questions. Just come down here with bail money. Professor Quincannon said that? No, Mum, it was the wrong number. Oh.
Thank you, Penny.
Quite all right, sir. Any time at all.
I'm almost certain, he said, the first meeting would start precisely at 8. Well, of course, he may merely stroll over to fetch me, his house being right across the street.
Perhaps you misunderstood the date. It may not be tonight.
Oh, well, perhaps it isn't.
Why don't you play something? Go ahead, fiddle away.
Very well. Here we go, then. It has a really lovely tone. Now, listen. The meeting is tonight. Look over there. Professors Warren, Wilder, and Lazar, all carrying instruments. Now, you see, they're turning into Quincannon. Good. That means we'll have great fun. They're very convivial fellows. And here comes Quincannon to fetch me. Now, don't wait up, darling. I can't say when I'll be back. You never know how these things are going.
It's not time for you to leave.
Well, I mustn't keep Quincannon waiting.
He's gone back in the house. He just went into the yard to pick up his evening paper.
Oh.
It's not 8 o'clock yet. Sit down. And while we're waiting, let me hear you play. It seems to me I've heard a rumor that the fiddle flute has a really lovely tone.
Oh, yes, it has indeed. Now, you just listen. I can't tell you, Victoria, how much I'm looking forward to this evening.
If you're that crazy about Knockworth, Penny will...
No, it's not that. It's just that although I know I have the respect of the faculty, and I think they like me, I'm often afraid that because of my position here, there's inclined to be very little give and take on a human basis. But the mere fact that Quincannon and the others may regard me warmly enough to invite me to join is something that makes me feel almost like, like one of the boys. I'd begun to suspect I was... I forget the Latin term, but it means a wet smack. Look, Vicky, look. Here come some other club members. There's Shaw, Butler, Cassidy, and Rubin. Oh, look at that lovely case of beer they're carrying. This is going to be a rollicking evening, I know it. Why, those are the liveliest sparks on the campus. What the heck do we care? They're really enjoying themselves, aren't they? What about the devil's delaying, Quincannon? Are you positive he didn't telephone?
Quite positive. Don't fret, Toddy. Quincanon's the host. He's probably too busy at the moment.
Yes, that must be it, of course. What's that? You know, it takes only a moment to telephone.
Well, they may fetch you by some sort of ceremony that has nothing to do with telephones. Or, if it has, the telephone may be out of order. Ours has always been out of whack, you know.
Well, not in the last 4 years.
Well, there you are, then. Is it as long ago as that? But at any rate, I'm sure there's a valid reason for the delay.
Yes, the telephone could be out of order.
It often happens.
Yes, a short circuit, for example.
Of course, or even just a bit of that rubber stuff coming off and exposing the
Look.
wire.
There go Weaver and Hudson. I didn't know Weaver played the tuba. He's very clever.
He must be to keep a tuba secret.
Uh-oh. Here comes Quincannon now. No, he's only turned off the porch light. Hail, the gang's all here. And gone in again. Well, I suppose he's not expecting anyone else.
We doesn't mean that at all, Toddy. Professor Quincannon is very economical, even frugal man.
Well, do you really think that's why
Of course.
It isn't 8 o'clock yet either, is it?
Nowhere near it. 2 minutes of.
You don't, suppose I've been blackballed, do you?
Oh, why on earth would you be?
Well, they might not think I measure up to chamber music and Knockworth. So here comes Grogan. Vicky, do you suppose that's how I am to be informed by the campus policeman?
Maybe.
Mr. Grogan.
Oh, that you on the porch, Dr. Hall?
Yes. You don't by any chance bear a message from Professor Quincannon, do you?
I do indeed, sir.
Well, now, don't wait up for me, Vicky, darling.
Good evening, sir, and to you,
Good
ma'am.
evening, Mr. Grogan.
Well, it looks like a great evening shaping up across the way, don't it?
Yes, it really does.
Mm-hmm. But no expenses spared, as the saying goes. You know what I've been doing the past hour? Delivering messages for Professor Quincannon all over Faculty Row. Special, hand-printed messages.
Oh, I was wondering why he didn't telephone.
No, he's not a man to do things by halves. It's a most special occasion, he says to me. It is, I says to him. It is, indeed, says he to me.
Well, you came just in time. It's 8 o'clock.
It is, indeed. That clock on the chapel hasn't been a minute off in 31 years. Oh, I could tell you a story about that clock. In 1919...
You said you were carrying messages for Professor Quincannon.
I am, sir. He asked me especially not to forget to deliver it to you. Mind you, don't forget, he says to me. It's most important. It is, says I to him. It is indeed, says he to me.
I'm sure we'd be very grateful if you'd tell us what it is.
Yes, ma'am. Could you spare some mustard for the Knockworth?
Yes. Certainly, I'm on my way over, and What was that?
Professor Quincannon said he could use some mustard for the knockwurst if he had any to spare. The stores are all closed, says he to me. Are they, says I to him?
Yes, was that the only message?
Why, no, ma'am. No, it's not. I was asked for a loaf of bread, too. I asked you that. I'm short of bread, he says to me. Are you, says I?
Well, if you just go to the side entrance, Mr. Groban, I'm sure Penny will oblige you.
Oh, well, thank you, ma'am, and good evening. Good evening, sir.
Huh? Oh, yes. Good evening. Well, I suppose I won't be needing this anymore.
What is it?
It's a sour pickle. I thought it might add to the fun. You know, if I suddenly began munching it in front of the brass section, the mouths would have puckered up, you see. And, they'd have fluffed notes. And
May I tell you something, Toddy? Dear Toddy, I think you're well out of it. In the first place, Knockwurst never did agree with you.
Why, I was only going to pretend to eat some, just for the sake of form, you know.
Friendship means a great deal to you, doesn't it?
Yes, it does indeed, my darling. Our own little friendships may seem unimportant, but if everyone cultivates his own and seeks new ones, the spread of goodwill, like ripples on a pond, may extend beyond the limits of our vision and go far toward averting the dissolution of my world and yours in a blast of hate.
Oh, I do agree with you, Toddy.
Living as we are today in the shadow of a man-made cloud, shaped like a poisonous toadstool, it behooves us as individuals to see that friendship doesn't become the sole concern of wall motto publishers and sofa cushion embroiderers. And if I sound more like Gabriel with a trumpet than Bill Hall with a fiddle flute, I'm sorry.
I never did get a chance to hear it.
What, the trumpet? Oh, the fiddle flute. Yes, of course I'll play something then. It has a really lovely tone. Now just listen. What would you like to hear?
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous. We'll return to the Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman, in just a moment. But first, let's hear what happened at Shirley's house when a young suitor won her father's hand in friendship.
The first time I called on Shirley, we were obliged to share the living room with her father. He was there when I arrived and there when I left. Permanent as a cornerstone, and almost as talkative. Cut off from the rest of the household by the evening paper, Shirley's father devoted himself to the news and to a bottle of Schlitz beer that stood on the table beside him. His approval of Schlitz seemed obvious. Never having tasted Schlitz myself, I was tempted to ask him if it lived up to its reputation. But, frankly, I didn't have the nerve, so I kept my curiosity to myself that first evening. But the next time I called, Shirley came to the rescue by offering me a bottle of Schlitz. And one taste, just one, was all it took to make me say, "Brother, this is what I call beer." No sooner were the words spoken when down came Shirley's father's newspaper, and there we were, face to face. He fixed me with a sharp eye and said, "Well, young man, I see you share my taste in beer. It seems we have something in common." Well, that broke the ice. Now, Shirley's father and I almost always spend part of my visits talking together over bottles of Schlitz. Shirley says she isn't quite sure she likes the new arrangement. I say, no wonder they call Schlitz the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
That surround us here today.
As we return to the Halls of Ivy, we find a saddened Dr. Hall sitting on the front porch of their home with Mrs. Hall, listening to the faint sounds of festivity emanating from Professor Quincannon's house across the street. Mrs. Hall says,
Let it out, Toddy. You've been sitting there stewing for ages. Let it out. Chew up the scenery. Ham it up.
Well, I was thinking about Quincannon. If next time we meet there should be any embarrassment, he might think it rather childish of me. On the other hand, if I lean over backwards to show I'm not offended, he's apt to think I'm trying to cozy up to him in order to get into the club.
Poor Toddy. You're on the horns of a dilemma, aren't you?
I am. You'd think, wouldn't you, with all the great scientific advances of the last few centuries, someone would have developed a hornless dilemma by now. If it were a hornless dilemma, I could make short shrift of it.
Really? What is a short shrift?
It's an old family recipe. Grandma Hall's short shrift was famous for miles around. She was just about to make a fortune with it when suddenly the fashion changed. And everyone began to demand long shrift. Then, one day how much longer are they going to make that awful racket over there? Don't they realize it's time people were in bed?
Well, it's only 9:30.
Oh, well, some people might be going to bed. Anyway, it's unbecoming when supposedly mature men, responsible members of the faculty, behave like a lot of schoolboys. They've done nothing but make noise and laugh all night. Something ought to be done about it.
I agree. Something certainly ought.
You could mind to phone Grogan. Tell him to go over there and break it up.
I was thinking of another line of action.
What? Phone the town police?
No. I was thinking you ought to go over there, fiddle flute in hand, tell them it sounds as though they were having a grand time, and ask very honestly and directly if you might join them.
Oh, my dear, I couldn't. I wouldn't. I haven't been elected. Don't you understand? They might not want me.
But they would if they knew you wanted them.
Oh. I don't want them. Sitting up all night, playing interminable choruses of McNamara's band. Well, that's not my idea of a good time. I infinitely prefer a quiet walk or a good book.
You've attracted Professor Heathcliff's attention.
Heathcliff? Well, don't tell me that blister is a member of Quincannon's club.
He's coming up the walk.
That you up there, Skipper?
Yes, to my sorrow.
And how are you tonight, fair lady?
Quite well, thank you. It's a lovely night. If you were out enjoying it, please don't let us keep you.
Oh, not at all, not at all. I was merely strolling past to see if Professor Quincannon actually was indulging in an infantile exhibition as I'd heard that he intended.
Had he asked you to join?
No. I was eligible, of course. I played the glockenspiel, you know.
Why, I didn't know.
Oh, good heavens, yes, Skipper. I played the glockenspiel for 30 years.
You must be tired by now.
I beg your pardon, fair lady?
I said I've always admired the glockenspiel.
Yes. As I say, I was eligible, but I let him know so definitely by my manner that I was not the sort to be interested in juvenile horseplay that he never even asked me. What a hideous sound they were making. Don't they realize it's time people were going to bed?
It's only 9:30.
Well, some people might be going to bed. I'm highly gratified to see you're not over there, Skipper. You're the same sort of person I am.
Oh, I am? Am I?
Oh, yes, indeed. More the cerebral type. For us, the quiet walk, the good book, the solitary meditation.
The Stargate.
You spoke, fair lady?
I said, I think I'll traipse along upstairs. It's getting a bit chilly.
Oh, well, then I'll be moving along. Good night, fair lady. Good night, Skipper. I hope you can sleep with all that fun, that noise going on.
Good night. Did I sound like that a few minutes ago?
Yes. Have you changed your mind about going over there?
Well, I won't try to pretend I don't want to. I've always detested make-believe. Haven't you?
Oh, darling. You're asking someone who was once an actress. And you haven't always detested it. I can remember at least one instance when you enjoyed it immensely. At least you seemed to.
When was that?
Backstage one night in London, shortly after we met.
Of course. I remember in your dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to mention that I'd never been behind the footlights. And you took me onto the stage. I stumbled over a prop on the way, I remember.
It was a bench from the garden scene.
Yes. And then you turned on the moon. That was an inspiration. We even had music. There was a street musician playing somewhere outside. I can still remember the tune. It went like this.
heard it that night in the theater. It came through so faintly. Well, how do you like it from this side of the footlights?
It's awfully big, isn't it? Listen to the echoes. Far more mysterious and romantic than from the audience side. Think of all the fun and the fine words, the music and the beauty that have been carried across those footlights. And the hard work and the heartache that doesn't get across. Full of ghosts. Listen to the echoes. Heavens, Vicky, what power, what opportunity is given to the people of the stage.
You must have a touch of the actor in you.
Oh, I have. In the privacy of my room, I've often played most of the roles created by Mr. Shakespeare. If I say so myself, my Hamlet leaves nothing more to be done in that direction. And my Romeo is good for a dozen curtain calls at every performance. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet.
So Romeo would. Was he not Romeo called?
Yes, Mr. Shakespeare didn't know his semantics. Might have made a great difference to Juliet if his name were, say, Hezekiah.
Romeo doth thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo.
I think he embraces Juliet then.
Oh, no. She's up on the balcony, and he's in the orchard below. At least that's the way Shakespeare wrote it.
Well, there's such a thing as taking stage directions too literally, don't you think? Such a love scene really calls for something better than bellowing at each other from a distance.
Yes, I think you're right. Romeo should be up on the balcony by that time, with one arm around her.
Not both?
No, he holds onto the railing with the other. Something like this.
Yes. It works out rather well, doesn't it?
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls. For stony limits cannot hold love out, and what love can do, that dares love attempt. What love can do, that dares love attempt. Victoria.
Yes?
May I ask you something?
Yes.
Do you think Bacon really wrote Shakespeare's plays?
Does that really concern you right now?
No, that was shyness speaking, not I. Victoria, Listen to the song that man in the street is playing.
Oh, yes. It's the old apple song.
Yes. Straight from the hedgerows in the heart of England. I once heard the words, but I've forgotten them.
Oh, you remember. I'll give my love an apple without any core. I'll give her a house without any door. I'll give her a palace wherein she may be, and she may unlock it without any key.
Yes, it comes back to me. Now, I remember the ending. My heart is the palace wherein she may be, and she may unlock it without any key.
Honey?
Dr. Hall, how wonderful. I didn't know you could play.
Oh, what makes you think I'm playing? I'm quite sincere.
Honey, it's Professor Quincannon.
Well, it makes no difference. He has no right to impugn my motives. I've never philandered and...
Professor
and what?
Quincannon, darling.
Who? What? Who? Oh! Quincannon.
William, where have you been?
Over to London, kissing a queen.
Why, you could have knocked me down with a feather. I stepped out for a breather, heard music from over here, and why on earth didn't you tell me you could play a musical instrument when I asked you?
I did tell you. I distinctly said I could play the fiddle flute.
Yes, I heard you, but naturally I thought you were pulling my leg. After all, a fiddle flute.
It's a very ancient and honorable instrument, and possessed of a really lovely tone.
Well, look here. Wouldn't you like to come over to my house, I mean?
To your house?
Yes, you remember. The Ivy Chamber Music and Knockworth Society.
Oh, that. Is that tonight? Vicky, do you hear?
Yes,
Don't
I
you remember
did.
my telling you?
I'd quite forgotten.
Oh, come over now. We'd be delighted to have you join.
Would you really? Oh, I don't know. I really hadn't thought about it, and it's rather late.
Of course, Dr. Hall is more the cerebral type, Professor. You know, the quiet walk, the good book, the solitary meditation.
Victoria, please, let me. I'll handle this.
Like Professor Heathcliff, the well-known glockenspiel enthusiast.
Well, I'm sorry, Doctor. I just thought...
No. I accept your invitation gladly. Let's go.
Good. Come on.
Any knockworth left? Victoria, don't wait up for me, my dear, will you? Where's that pickle? Never mind, I have it. Will I need a hat? No, I guess it's just across the street. Come on, Quincannon. Good night, darling.
Good night. Have a lovely time.
Good night, Mrs. Hall.
Good night.
Why on earth is it called a fiddle flute?
Because it's crippled with a fit. I mean, it's a flute with a quitter-fiddle.
Well, you've clarified the matter with an obscurity. What is a fiddle?
A small plug in the upper end.
Oh. I thought perhaps Fiffle was the name of its inventor.
By an odd coincidence, his name was Fiffle. Johann Sebastian Fiffle.
Small man with two heads?
Three heads. Oh. He billed himself as the Fiffle Trio. Available for parties, weddings, and fish fries. No boozer, no chaser, have own tuxedo, will travel.
One night stand?
Only in the Arctic Circle, 6 months engagement.
Evidently not afraid of critical harpoons.
His skin was thick enough to withstand them.
I suppose, like the saxophone, the fiddle flute has been called an ill woodwind that nobody blows good.
The fiddle flute is an intellectual instrument. It does not depend on sax appeal.
For Pete's sake, how long can you keep this up?
Until the memory of man runneth not to the contrary, and the Knockworth has departed.
Good. I think we'll have a great evening. There we are.
What the heck do we...
Ready, Doctor?
Raise the curtain, Professor, and give me a chord in G.
In we go.
Here, what the heck do we care now?
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
And here again are Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman.
William, you worry too much. Take things much too seriously.
It's possible, Vicky. Quite possible.
For example, now take this evening. All those faculty members are very fond of you. But how could they possibly know you weren't pulling their legs when you said you played a fiddle flute?
Yes, there's that, of course. And I did have a wonderful time at Quincannon. Yes, maybe you're right. But I'm afraid I can't finish out my term as president of Ivy College, romping through the weeks with gay shrieks of carefree laughter and witticisms for one and all. It's a matter of record, I believe, that those college presidents who have been more staid have.
Have what?
Stayed.
Oh. I see. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
We'll be seeing you next week at this time at the Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman. The other players were Gloria Gordon, Alan Reed, Cliff Arquette, and Frank Martin. Tonight's script was written by Walter Brown Newman and Don Quinn. Our music was composed and conducted by Henry Russell.
That was The Halls of Ivy. Sydney, you mentioned you had some kind of college-related story to tell me. Please tell me it's not about raising some kind of colony of weird mutated insects again.
No, I'm doing that next week. So remember, your legal counsel guy, Willie?
I believe you were arguing with him about the existence of Tom Hanks last time you guys met.
Yeah, I do vaguely recall that. Anyway, he is starting a university, and he asked me to be a professor, so that's probably going to be taking up a lot of my time.
That's news to me.
Well, if you teach the same way you clean as a janitor...
Yeah, no cracks there, buddy, no cracks, okay? I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be teaching yet, but he did tell me I could wear one of those robes and the college-y hats with the tassel on them.
I don't believe college professors ever actually wore those to class or anything, Sydney. That's kind of just a old movie thing, I believe. Back me up here, McLean.
Even beyond the tassel issue, I I'm going to assume that Willie is probably not starting an actual legitimate accredited university.
You won't
and
be
that-
saying this with a smirk on your face when I come up to you next week as Professor Snorthoff, PhD, DDT, MIT, whatever kind of letters I can put after my name, because I will be bona fide legitimate, my friend. I must be off now. I have to meet Willie about a few things, namely how big my office will be. I'm going to have a second office. That's how important I am, okay? All right. Catch you guys later.
Sydney, I'm approaching you as a slight sort of acquaintance, and I'm telling you
Too
that this
late.
is not
I
a good
already
idea.
said catch you guys later. I'm halfway out the door.
Okay. Well, both of them are probably going to go to jail. Jake, what's next up on the itinerary?
We have an episode of Burns and Allen, in which Gracie Allen is trying to get both her husband, George Burns, and Jack Benny to go back to college. So this is the Burns and Allen show.
It's Maxwell House Coffee Time, starring George Burns and Gracie Allen. With yours truly, Bill Goodwin, and the music of Meredith Wilson and his orchestra. For deep down laughs and listening enjoyment, it's George and Gracie. And for deep down coffee drinking enjoyment, it's Maxwell House with extra flavor in the blend because of choice Latin American coffee skillfully combined. Extra flavor in the cup because Radiant Roast develops the full flavor of every coffee bean. And the result is that today more people buy Maxwell House than any other brand of coffee in the world. Well, last week, George was left $5,000 in the will of his late Uncle Marvin. But the will, which was written 30 years ago, specified that the money had to be used for George's college education. Gracie talked him into enrolling at Beverly Hills Tech. And so we now find America's oldest and unhappiest college boy getting ready to leave for his morning classes.
Oh, gosh, honey, I feel like a darn fool going to college at my age. I dread that first class.
What is your first class?
American history. And I'm terrible. When I should have been studying history, I was in vaudeville.
Oh, I'll bet you're very good in history.
You do, huh? Yesterday, the professor asked, what great American stayed longest in the capital? I answered Al Jolson.
Oh, darling, even I know better than that.
Certainly.
Was Eddie Cantor.
Not doing so well in math, either. The professor flunked me.
He what?
He flunked me.
Well, you should have flunked him right back.
Well, I'm going to give up college. I'm not learning anything.
Not learning anything? Why, you're getting much smarter than me. There you are studying things like civics. And I've never even seen a civic.
I'll bring one home sometime.
You should be proud to be going to college and learning things.
But, honey, my friends are laughing at me. Last night, the fellas called up and wanted me to go to a burlesque show with them. I had to say, I can't, guys. Haven't finished my homework.
All right. But when you do go to a burlesque show, you'll enjoy it more because you've studied anatomy.
That's an advantage?
Well, of course it is. To them, a leg is just a leg. But you can tell a tibia from a fibula.
Oh, sure. I can whistle and stamp my metatarsal. I tell you, honey, I'm too old to go to college. Yesterday, we were discussing the Battle of Gettysburg, and the professor called on me.
Well, what's wrong with that?
He wanted an eyewitness account.
Oh, he was only kidding. You look very young. Well, I'll bet you win that contest they're having to pick the most popular man at Beverly Hills Tech.
Oh, don't be silly. I don't stand a chance.
Come in.
Well, hi, Burnses.
Oh, Bill, I want to ask you something. Doesn't George look young?
Young? George?
Here we go. All right, Bill. Come on, slug me.
Oh, George. I think you're terrific. You've got everything. Huh? Well, you know I think you're great, George. You're so... Then you have such... And then there's your... Well, not to mention that... Well, I could go on saying those wonderful things about you for hours.
Well, all right, say a few. Would you say that George is handsome?
Well, there's not a handsomer man in the state of California.
Oh, why, Bill, you're handsomer than I am.
Well, all right then, one. You got me on a technicality.
Small tech.
Well, would you say that George looks young?
Well, in his 20s.
Well, Bill, I believe you love George.
You bet I do, Gracie. Kind and clever, that's handsome young George. You know, about this time of year, handsome young George says to himself, what does deserving old Bill want for Christmas this year?
I got a TL for you, deserving old Bill. Handsome young George isn't giving any Christmas presents this year.
What?
Something tells me handsome young George has just heard his last kind word from deserving old Bill.
No Christmas present? Why, you miserable little miser. You antiquated little scarecrow.
Why, Bill, a minute ago you said that George was handsome in his 20s.
Well, he may have been handsome in his 20s, but who remembers 50 years ago?
Goodbye, humorist.
See you later, Scrooge.
You see, Gracie, let's stop kidding ourselves. College is not for me.
Well, George, your Uncle Marvin left you $5,000 to be used for your college education. Now, if you don't use it, what'll become of it?
I asked the lawyer that. He said it would go to a home for down-and-out actors.
Well, I'd much rather you got it now.
But, honey...
Think of the fine traditions of college. Think of the dignity and the stature it gives you just to be attending. Come in.
Is Georgie ready to go to school?
Oh. Be with you in a minute, Bobby.
I got a lot of books for you to carry today, Georgie.
Okay.
George, you have to carry that boy's books?
Certainly. He's a senior. I'm only a freshman.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, Georgie, why didn't you tell me you had a swell-looking sister?
Yeah.
And me hunting a doll for the senior prom. Well, this is just a hag for me to drag.
Look, Bobby,
Why, she'll be the queen of the prom.
Yeah, me among all those college girls?
Are you kidding? Well, you're a slick chick. There ain't another tomato like you on Vine. Well, all right.
Well, all right.
We'll cut a rug. We'll really squirm, Worm.
Well, beat me to the socks, Bobby.
Beat me to the socks, Bobby. This chick is dynamite.
Well,
all right.
Okay, let's go to school.
So, Meredith, we've just got to keep George in college. I know you'll help because you're an intellectual like me.
Well, I've noticed that too, Gracie.
Yeah, it's up to us to guide George's footsteps so that he'll be brilliant and witty like us. And be able to discuss books and operas and things.
Yeah. Have you read any good books lately?
No.
Neither have I.
You've been to the opera recently?
No.
Me either.
Gee, what a shame that George can't discuss these things like we can.
Well, he will be able to if we can keep him from quitting college.
What does he want to quit for?
Well, he thinks he's too old. Now, if we could just get someone his own age to go to college with him now. Maybe someone on the radio.
They have some awfully old women on the Tom Brenneman program.
No, George isn't that old. And besides, we need a man, someone George can pal around with.
It'll be awfully hard to find them in radio because the stars of the big programs have already gone to college. Look at the Rudy Valley program and the Jack Benny program.
The star of the Jack Benny program is a college man?
Sure. Rochester went to college.
A wonderful idea.
I have?
Jack Benny is the perfect man to go to college with George. They're old friends, and they both need an education. I'll go right over and see them.
Well, you'll never talk Jack Benny into going to college.
Oh, I don't know. There's always flattery.
Well, that's true. Any man with blood in his veins is susceptible to flattery.
Well, I'll try it on Jack anyway. See you later, Meredith.
Well, Gracie,
Oh, excuse me, I have the wrong house, Van.
Van?
Oh, aren't you Van Johnson?
No, Gracie, it's me, Jack Benny. Gracie, how could you possibly get me mixed up with Van Johnson? We're miles apart.
You are?
Certainly. He's at Metro and I'm at Warner Brothers. You thought I was Van Johnson. Well, come in and sit down, Gracie. Here, I'll turn on the light. Mustn't strain eyes as good as yours.
Jack, I've come to ask you a favor.
Anything at all. Van Johnson, that's cute. What is it you want me to do, Gracie?
Well, I want you to make George into a college boy.
Gracie, you misunderstood me. I'm with Warner Brothers, not Mayo Brothers. There aren't that many vitamin pills.
Oh, no, Jack, nothing like that. You see, George is already going to college, and I want you to go with him.
Me? Go to college?
College is oodles of fun, Jack. Football games, basketball, track meets.
No, forget it, Grace.
Studying things like psychology, chemistry, languages.
No, I'm not interested.
Meeting grand fellows, making dates with pretty co-eds, reading good books.
What was that?
Reading good books.
No, the one before that.
Making dates with pretty co-eds.
Yes, that one seems rather interesting. I wonder if they'd mistake me for Van Johnson. They might if I got a crew haircut.
Oh, yes, you'd look wonderful in a crew haircut. And so distinguished. I'll bet you'd have the only gray one at school.
Well, I don't know about this college thing, Gracie. Of course, if I do it, it'll just be to help you and George, you understand. Are the co-eds really pretty?
Oh, beautiful. And all Jack Benny fans.
I mean, after all, you and George are my friends, but there's just one thing. Oh, not that it's important. I mean, not that I care, one way or the other, but, doesn't it cost a lot of money?
Oh, no, it won't cost you a cent. George will pay your tuition and buy your books and everything.
Oh, Gracie, I couldn't let George do that.
You couldn't?
Well, if you put it that way, I guess I'm trapped. George would pay for everything, you say?
Oh, yes. You'll even get 50 cents a day for lunch.
50 cents?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can eat for 30, and that gives me 20 cents a day clear. Unless I eat with a co-ed. In that case, I save the whole 50 cents. All right, Gracie, it's a deal.
Good. Lunch for your first week will be $3. Here's a $5 bill.
Oh, wait, I've got your change right here in my pocket. Here you are. 4 hats. Or if you'd rather have it in bills, I'll get out my billfold.
Oh, no, don't bother getting undressed. Now, get ready and I'll take you right over to the Beverly Hills Tech and enroll you.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if those co-eds will mistake me for Van Johnson. Maybe I better have Rochester give me just a little henna rinse. Oh, Rochester!
Say, Meredith, when I heard you rehearse that new Western song you're playing, I couldn't help thinking how music just naturally conjures up definite pictures.
That's certainly true, Bill, and I bet we all have about the same picture impressions, too. Now, listen just a minute.
I shall.
Well, Bill, doesn't that tune bring to mind Purple Sage against Colored Canyons? And wagon trains rolling across the old Oregon Trail?
Oh, you bet it does, Meredith. The real melody picture with the instruments of the orchestra for colors. The deep tones of the woodwinds for mellowness. The flashing harp and the rhythm instruments for richness. The warm, vibrant color of the strings for vigor. And the depth of the brasses for full body. And your musical picture reminds me of something else, Meredith. About how, as the wagon wheels rolled westward, our forefathers laid the foundation for certain American traditions. Among them, our national custom of offering warming good cheer and friendship in a cup of coffee. Today, in homes where fine coffee is appreciated, the choice is most often Maxwell House. Just as your melody picture is a superb blend of orchestral colors, full-flavored, rich Maxwell House is a fine blend of Latin American coffees. Manizales for mellowness. Medellins for richness. Other choice Latin American coffees for vigor. And Bucaramangas for full body. And then those fine coffees are so skillfully combined that the result is true harmony. Yes, true harmony in a cup of coffee. And that's why coffee lovers the world over agree that Maxwell House is good to the last drop.
Oh, George, I'm so proud of you. You've really showed an interest in college these past few days, ever since Jack Benny started.
You know, I can't get over that tightwad starting to college. I'd like to know what poor sapper's putting up the money. I'd laugh right in his face.
Well, that'll be pretty hard for you to do.
Yeah. Huh?
I meant Jack wouldn't tell you. But I'm so happy about the progress you're making in your studies. You know, I just adored it last night when you spoke to the waiter in French.
Yeah.
Without batting an eye, you said to him, "Bring me an order of la ham and la egg."
Well, I've been studying my French pretty hard. I'm not going to let Jack Benny get ahead of me. By the way, I got a surprise for you.
Oh, what?
I entered the contest for the most popular man at Beverly Hills Tech.
Oh, wonderful. I know you're going...
Come in.
Hello, Gracie.
Oh, good morning, Jack. George will be ready to leave for school in just a minute.
Good. By the way, George, I saw the results of the chemistry quiz. Passing was 75. You got 29.
Holy smoke, 29?
That's right. You know, if you'd like me to coach you a little after school, I'd be glad to. I mean, there's no reason why your grades can't be up with mine.
What did you get, Jack?
31.
Well, anyway, I'll bet George is better than you are in French.
Better in French? Why, I know a whole sentence. Ouvrez la fenêtre.
What does it mean?
Open the window.
Well, suppose George doesn't know that. Does it matter?
Does it matter? Put him in France on a hot day and he'll suffocate.
You won't feel so smart, Jack Benny, when my husband is chosen most popular man at Beverly Hills Tech.
Gracie, are you by any chance referring to that contest at school which I have already as good as won?
Oh, are you running too?
Running? I could skip and beat George. In just an hour, I have an appointment with Betty Calhoun, the co-ed president. She's a little southern girl, and I think I know how to sew up the co-ed vote.
Oh, Southern girl, huh?
Yes. Come on, George. Let's go to school.
Yeah. Run along, George. And don't worry about the co-ed vote. Pardon me. Are you Betty Calhoun?
That's right. Was there something I could do for y'all?
Well, yes. I want you to get all the co-eds to vote for George Burns at the student rally tonight.
George Burns? That funny little old man?
Oh, please, Betty. I wish you wouldn't talk that way about my son.
Your son? How could you have a son his age?
Oh, I didn't. When I had him, he was just a baby.
But he looks so old.
Oh, he isn't really. He just looks that way because he had such an unhappy childhood down south.
You don't mean to say that Mr. Burns is a show-enough Southerner, too?
Too? Well, don't tell me you're from the South.
Couldn't y'all tell?
How could I?
Well, tell me about George's childhood.
Oh, it was awful. We were so poor, little Georgie didn't even have pants to wear.
Not even jeans?
Oh, hers wouldn't fit him at all. Oh, it was terrible. We tried to make a living, but everything went wrong. When the cotton market was high, we planted cotton. Up came wool.
But you get wool from sheep.
Oh, well, up came sheep and ate the cotton.
Oh, my goodness.
And then we planted tobacco. Some auctioneers came to buy it, but before we could figure out what they were saying, the tobacco was dead. Miss Calhoun, now that you know George Burns was a poor, unhappy Southern boy, won't you get the co-eds to vote for him?
Well, I haven't talked to Mr. Benny yet.
Mr. Benny? You mean you'd even speak to that Yankee?
Are you sure he's a Yankee?
The worst kind, a northern Yankee. From Waukegan. His full name is Jack General Sherman Benny.
You mean he was named after General Sherman?
Yeah, and not very long after.
In that case, I'll downright snub him.
Well, get ready. Here he comes.
Well, shut my mouth. If it isn't lovely and charming Betty Calhoun. Why, ma'am, you all sure enough look as pretty as a magnolia blossom from my old sure enough plantation.
Oh, no.
And greetings to you all, Mrs. Burns, ma'am.
Hello, Amos.
Mr. Benny sounds like a Southerner, but Benny isn't a Southern name.
You all ain't heard my full name, ma'am. It's Lee Stonewall Magnolia Fort Worth Taters Benny.
Really?
LSMFT.
But aren't you from Waukegan?
I'm proud to say I am. Waukegan, Virginia. Garden spot of the South. Folks down there will be mighty unhappy if you all don't get me elected most popular man at Beverly Hills Tech.
Oh, shame on you, Mrs. Burns, for calling this fine Southern gentleman a Yankee. Come along, Stonewall.
Who? Oh, sure enough. Goodbye, Mrs. Burns, you all.
Oh, that unscrupulous man. Cheating to win the election. Oh, thank goodness George had never stooped to deceit or trickery. Well, that leaves it to me, and I enjoy it so much. Hurry up and get dressed, dear. We'll be late for the student rally.
Oh, what's the use of going at all? Benny has got the co-ed vote sewed up. He'll swamp me.
He'll do nothing of the sort. Don't forget, every contestant will be called on to entertain tonight. And you're going to sing.
You think they'll like my singing?
Like it, oh, darling. Every time you sing, a chill runs up and down my spine.
Really?
Yeah, come on, sweetheart. Touch a spark of melody to the powder keg of your tonsils and blast me to paradise.
Okay. Ain't misbehaving.
Oh!
A chill did run up your spine.
Oh!
What was that?
Return trip.
Oh. But Benny's going to play his violin, and they might go for that.
Oh, don't be silly. What is violin playing anyhow? A horse's tail dragged across part of a cat. Believe me, when you sing, you sound better than any horse's tail or any part of a cat.
It's the sweetest thing you've ever said to me.
Besides, I wouldn't worry about Jack Benny. Bill Goodwin's got to introduce him, and I've had a little talk with Bill.
You wouldn't louse him up, would you?
College hasn't done a thing for you, has it?
All right, students. The contest for most popular man at Beverly Hills Tech continues. And now, it's a real honor for me to introduce this next contestant, a truly great artist.
That's me, folks.
He's a famous star of stage, screen, and radio.
I can't wait for television.
Not only a great wit, but a violin virtuoso.
That means I play well.
And here he is in person, John Bunny.
That's Benny, Jack Benny. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to play for you Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. I would like to, but I can't. Instead, I will play a famous old gypsy melody.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to say that Mr. Barney plays a...
Benny, that's Benny.
Oh, I forgot to say that he plays a Stradivarius.
Thank you.
Now, that's the finest violin made, you know. Go ahead, Mr. Boney.
Benny.
In fact, a Stradivarius is to violins what Maxwell House is to coffee.
Look, the students here would like if I played...
Well, of course they'd like it. More people buy and enjoy Maxwell House than any other brand of coffee in the world. Well, go ahead and play, Mr. Beanie.
Beanie.
Oh, and speaking of beans, only superior coffee beans are blended and rated Maxwell House. That's why Maxwell House is so appetizing, rich, full-bodied, and mellow. Coffee at its full-flavored best, good to the last drop. And now, back to Mr. Benny.
That's Beanie. No, can I play now?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bunny. Thank you very much. Students, you have just heard John Bunny and his magic violin.
Look, wait a minute.
You've had your chance. You've had your chance.
Look, but I...
Step aside, Mr. O'Flaherty.
That's one I didn't expect.
And now, our next contestant for most popular man at Beverly Hills Tech is the campus heartthrob, that handsome singer of songs, Sugar Throat Bird.
Say, George, I know I'm licked, and just to show you I'm a good sport, there's no hard feelings, I'll accompany your song.
Well, gee, that's swell of you, Jack. I'm going to sing Ain't Misbehavin'.
Ain't Misbehavin'. All right, here's your introduction.
Jack. Jay. That's the wrong tune. Look, I'll start singing, then you follow me.
Ain't misbehaving all by myself. Ain't misbehaving, I'm happy on the shelf.
Look, Jack, follow me.
No one to talk to, saving all my love for. Oh, baby, love for you. Really saving love for you. Ain't misbehaving, I'm on the shelf by myself. Oh, no, I ain't misbehaving. It's love and blue. Daddy, 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 go away.
Well, George, I told you Jack Benny wouldn't win.
You were right.
Oh, darling, I'm so proud to be going to the prom with the most popular man at Beverly Hills Tech.
It's an honor, all right.
We'll dance our feet off.
Yeah.
Well, come on, Bobby. They're waiting for us at the prom.
We'll all read.
Well, all right.
Well, send me solid.
Latch on, Gate. We're swinging tonight.
Ta-ta, kid.
Oh, goody, goody, Jello pudding tonight. It tastes like Grandma's, only more so.
You ain't kidding. That's right.
And just as Jello, 6 delicious locked-in flavors can't be beaten. So the proof of Jello pudding's in the eating.
The Jello twins are hard to find, but keep on looking in your store. When sugar shortages are over, there'll be more.
Just a taste of Jello pudding or a Jello, and you know it's the one and only Jello.
All right, that was the Burns and Allen show, and McLean, while that was playing, I was checking the mail that comes to our studio here, and Slick Willie wrote me a letter. He said that he is starting at college, so that much is apparently at least confirmed. I don't know if it's true, but it's confirmed by Willie, and he wants us both to be professors at this college. I know there's a rat here somewhere. There's something fishy. I can't put my finger on it yet. I'm going to need more information. I don't like it.
I don't think it's that complicated. I think here's my idea. Here's my theory. I'm going to assume Willie is running a scam, actually, and that this is not a legitimate college, and that getting involved with it at all could be very sketchy for us legally speaking. And as we all know, based on Willie's knowledge of the law,
which has been impeccable so far,
I don't think this is wise to be connected to it all. In fact, I would burn that. I
should probably mention the P.S. He forged our names as co-signers on the loan he applied for to start this college. He says...
I'm really not liking the sound of that, actually.
I'm with you. He says he scouted out the most ivy-covered old brick buildings he could possibly find, had them delivered to his house last week, and he's constructing something very, very academic.
He had the buildings delivered to his house?
Yeah, I don't know, McLean. We're gonna have to get in touch with him, but
we should not do that. Just so we're clear, we should not do that.
I am morbidly curious. I need to figure out what I am technically a co-founder of. In the meantime, this is Lux Radio Theater's adaptation of Mr. Belvedere Goes to College. So while he's doing that, I'm gonna be writing a strongly worded letter to our legal counsel.
Lux presents Hollywood. Lever Brothers Company, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, bring you the Lux Radio Theater, starring Clifton Webb, Colleen Gray, and Robert Stack in Mr. Belvedere Goes to College. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. William Keeling.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. On rare occasions, a character in a picture or play will become so identified with one star that the audience simply can't imagine anyone else in the part. Now, that's the way it is with Mr. Belvedere and Clifton Webb. It all began in a delightful comedy called Sitting Pretty. And the public admired Mr. Belvedere and Clifton Webb to such a fabulous extent that a sequel was immediately demanded. 20th Century Fox came through a few months ago with a second hit, Mr. Belvedere Goes to College. You'll hear it tonight with Clifton Webb as the versatile and ubiquitous Lynn Belvedere, and starring with Mr. Webb are Robert Stack and Colleen Gray. Colleen Gray, as a co-ed, is quite typical of the standard of beauty among American college girls. You know, there's one thing these girls seem to learn long before they go to college, and that's the best way to take care of a beautiful complexion. Like the screen stars, the smart co-eds depend on Lux Toilet Soap Care. Once again, you meet the famous Mr. Belvedere as the curtain rises on the first act of tonight's play, starring Clifton Webb in the title role, Colleen Gray as Ellen, and Robert Stack as Bill. On a bright autumn morning, a visitor pauses at the gates of Clemens University. Then, with an air of mixed boredom and determination, he starts across the campus.
And they just announced it, Avery. The tickets for the Wabash game. They're on sale now.
Watch where you're going, Joe. You bump right into the statue.
Say, who is this statue anyway?
Who is it? That's Mr. Lux.
Who?
Mr. Lux. Can't you read what it says there? Lux Metis, Lux Orbis.
Yeah, but what's it mean?
Search me. Maybe he's the guy who invented the soap they advertised on the radio.
Lux Mentis, Lux Orbis.
Huh? Oh.
The light of the mind is the light of the world.
Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
The point is well taken. Can either of you adolescents direct me to the office of the dean?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Straight ahead to the library and 2 blocks right.
Thank you.
Well, who's that guy?
New prop, I guess. Come on, Joe, let's get our ticket.
Come in. Well. So you are Lynn Belvedere.
That is correct, Dean Gibbs.
I can't tell you how happy my wife will be to learn that I've met you. She read your book, you know. Said it was a work of art.
Yes, it is.
Now, just what can I do for you, Mr. Belvedere?
You may register me in this university.
But what on earth for?
$10,000.
I don't follow.
Dr. Gibbs, my novel, Hummingbird Hill, has just won the Morehouse Award, consisting of a gold medal and $10,000 in cash.
Well, surely the money doesn't mean anything to you.
Money is the root of all evil. I respect it. The less I have of it, the more I respect it. And at the moment, I have the greatest respect for it.
But you must have made a fortune on your book.
I also lost a fortune in libel suits. I am, in legal terms, a pauper.
But what has all this to do with postgraduate work here at Clemens?
Not postgraduate work. I wish to register as a freshman.
A freshman? But, Mr. Belvedere...
Unfortunately, the Morehouse Award stipulates that the recipient hold a college degree.
And you don't?
My formal education was limited to 2 revolting weeks in kindergarten.
Why, you're not serious.
I am grim.
But good heavens, man. Who taught you?
The most exacting person I've ever met. Myself.
Well, this is simply phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
And you want to spend the next 4 years here so that you may claim this literary prize?
1 year.
I beg your pardon?
1 year.
But that's impossible. You're 6 weeks late already, and you expect to complete a 4-year course in 1 year?
I intend, Dr. Gibbs, not expect.
But it's never been done before.
I've never been here before.
Mr. Belvedere, if you don't mind, I suggest we call on President Keating immediately.
Thank you.
This appears to be a very special case, Mr. Belvedere. Oh, a very special case.
It certainly is, President Keating.
And I am going to make an exception.
That is as it should be.
But, Dr. Keating, he doesn't even hold a high school diploma.
Therefore, Dean Gibbs, you will arrange entrance examinations as soon as Mr. Belvedere is prepared for them.
Would February be too soon?
February? By February, I should be entering my sophomore year.
Your what?
Dean Gibbs, I shall be grateful if your staff examines me at the earliest possible moment. Shall we say this afternoon?
This afternoon?
You heard him, Dean Gibbs, this afternoon. These grades, Mr. Belvedere, astonishing. Simply astonishing.
Yes, aren't they?
And his IQ, President Keating, the highest I've ever seen.
Naturally. I am a genius.
And that very fact compels me to suspect your motive, Mr. Belvedere, in joining us here.
Mr. Belvedere, this attempt of yours to complete 4 years' schooling in less than 1, well, it could disguise an ulterior motive, you know.
A subterfuge is a strategy employed by idlers and parasites. I have never been either.
Then you won't object if we stipulate a condition?
Which is?
That if you should attempt to use this university for a publicity stunt, to exploit your novel or yourself, if there is any notoriety or sensationalism during your stay here, it shall become my unpleasant duty to expel you.
Condition accepted.
Then allow me to welcome you officially to Clemens University.
Thank you, President Keating.
But Avery, I'm not kidding. He's there in our room now. An old guy. Gee whiz, I thought maybe it was your father or something come to visit you.
But what old guy? Who is he?
I don't know. I was kind of scared to ask him. He gives you such a funny look.
Well, we'll see about that right now. Hey, what's going on here?
It's quite obvious, young man. I have been assigned to this dormitory, and I am unpacking my clothing.
Yeah? Well, shut that window.
I am merely ventilating my 840 cubic feet.
You what?
You see, Avery, I told you.
You shut up.
Young man, this room contains 2,520 cubic feet. Since there are 3 beds in the room, each of us is entitled to breathe 840 cubic feet of air and no more. Fresh air.
Gee whiz, can't you see I got a cold in my head?
A physiological impossibility, young man. Disease cannot exist in a vacuum.
Shut up. I saw you yesterday on the campus, didn't I, by Mr. Lux? Now, who are you?
Gentlemen, an exceedingly unkind fate has thrown us together.
You mean you're going to be our roommate?
Regrettably, yes.
You're a student?
That is correct, my nasal neophyte.
What class?
I am a freshman.
Oh. A freshman? Well, you don't say.
I'm a freshman, too. But Avery here, he's a sophomore.
What's your name?
Lynn Belvedere. You will address me as Mr. Belvedere.
Now, listen here, you're in college and you're a freshman, the lowest form of animal life. And while you're here, you're right under this thumb. What do you got to say about that?
It needs a manicure.
The code of the campus, understand?
Does the code of the campus permit me to make a suggestion?
Shoot.
Blow your nose.
Now, listen, you. My name is Avery Brubaker, and you refer to me at all times as Mr. Brubaker, see?
My name's Cornelius Whitaker, Mr. Belvedere. But on account of I'm a freshman, too, you can call me Corny.
Shut up. And you'll do everything I say or get pegged for the sophomore council.
Boing!
Am I to understand that this university supports an inquisition?
Oh, boy, does it. I can show you the scars.
Where's your dink?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, he means this, Mr. Belvedere. This little cap we gotta wear, see? It's a dink.
You get down to the co-op, Belvedere, and buy yourself a dink. You wear it at all times, see? And if you don't, boing!
You mean I am compelled to wear this obscene article?
Oh, you get used to him after a while.
You and Whitaker will share in cleaning up this joint, making my bed for me and calling me for classes. Any questions, Belvedere? Hey, where do you think you're going?
I'm going to the library.
Oh, no, you're not. You're going to the co-op and buy yourself a dink. And when you've bought yourself a dink and put the dink on your head, then, mister, then maybe you can go to the library. You got me?
I've got you, Mr. Brubaker, and the possession revolts me. Good day.
Hello?
Yes, young lady?
Pardon me, but by any chance are you Lynn Belvedere, the author of Hummingbird Hill?
I am the author of Hummingbird Hill, but not by chance.
Oh, I've been looking everywhere for you. I heard you were registered, and I just had to see you.
I'm sorry, young lady. I do not give autographs.
Oh, I don't want an autograph. I'm Ellen Baker, and I'm on the Daily Lion. That's a college newspaper. And I want to interview you.
About what?
Well, what you think of college and how it feels to be a freshman at your age and... well, just about everything.
Miss Baker, since my arrival here, certain circumstances make it impossible for me to grant any interviews.
But it's vitally important to me. Why, an interview with a celebrity like you might give me my start as a writer.
I admire your ambition, Miss Baker, but my answer is irrevocably no. Now, would you be so kind as to tell me where the Student Employment Bureau is located?
Well, it's right across the street from the co-op, but if you're...
Thank you, Miss Baker.
Yes, this is the Student Employment Bureau, all right. But since the two of you came in pricey together, well, ladies first. Hi, Ellen.
Hello, Bill.
Why, ladies first?
Just common courtesy, the usual thing.
For your information, young man, woman has never been first in the entire tragic history of the human race. Huh? It was not Adam who sprang from Eve's rib, nor did Mrs. Noah captain the ark. Neither can the distaff side claim Mr. Einstein, nor Mr. Tchaikovsky, nor Mr. Lincoln.
What about Madame Curie?
Monsieur Curie's story has never been told. Therefore, Miss Baker, you will kindly step aside.
Okay, mister, what can I do for you?
I am seeking part-time employment during the college year.
What's your name?
Lynn Belvedere.
Now, exactly why do you need employment?
In order that I won't starve to death.
Well, that's a pretty good reason. What can you do?
Everything.
Well, most of the better jobs are all filled by now. Let's see now. There's an opening for a soda jerk.
There still is.
Would you like to be a babysitter?
I've been all through that.
I'm afraid that's all there is, Mr. Belvedere. Except assistant hasher at the Tri-Gam House. But I wouldn't recommend that to my worst enemy.
Tell me, what is a tri-gam house?
Oh, that's a sorority. The Gamma 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 sorority.
Girls, Mr. Belvedere. Lots of them. They've got the best Norwegian cook in the world, but outside of that, oh, brother.
And what are the functions of an assistant hasher?
Oh, waiting on table, helping clean up the place. You get 3 meals a day and $50 a month. Say, my mother's a house mother there, so if you want the job, it's yours.
I accept the position.
I'm warning you. This is the slap-happiest bunch of dames on the whole campus.
In that case, there will be some changes made.
Okay. Here, just take this car to the Tri-Gam house and ask for my mother, Mrs. Chase. She'll take care of you.
Thank you.
What can I do for you, Ellen?
Oh, nothing special. I was just showing Mr. Belvedere where the Employment Bureau was located.
It's obvious, Mr. Chase, that Miss Baker is slightly less than delighted to see you and is using me for strategic withdrawal. Good day.
He's quite a character, isn't he?
So are you. Now, why did you come here?
Well, because a friend of mine needs a babysitter for afternoons.
Okay, what address?
41 Burnham Street.
Hey, that's where you live, isn't it?
Well, it's an apartment house.
Ellen, look, 4 weeks. That's a long time to be brushed off.
I haven't been brushing you off, Bill. It's just that...
Oh, sure, I know. Between classes and all the work in the newspaper, you just haven't a minute to spare. Why do you think I put you on the staff?
Because being a good editor, you know I can write.
Sure, and your big blue eyes had nothing to do with it. Oh, well, what's your friend's name? The one with the baby.
Mrs. David Ashley.
Well, tell her we can't promise anything. You know, people are beginning to find out that there are easier ways of making money than having junior vivisect them.
Don't you like children?
Crazy about them. Especially with their straitjackets on.
Oh, I'll tell her. Thanks, Bill. Hiya, Pop. You waiting to see somebody?
I am waiting to see Mrs. Chase.
Oh. Well, just barge right in the living room and spread out. I'll tell her you're here.
Thank you.
Mrs. Chase! Hey, get the man in the door! Oh, don't mind me. I'm just practicing.
For an execution, you have been mutilating the entire composition.
Oh, I have. Well, I suppose you can play better?
That is correct. Allow me.
Why, that's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Beethoven?
I beg your pardon?
Beethoven?
No, Belvedere.
No, you play like Rubinstein.
Rubinstein plays like me.
Oh, how do you do? I'm Mrs. Chase, the house mother.
Now, how do you do? May I say that this house which you're mothering is on the brink of chaos?
Isn't it just so?
Mrs. Chase, I am Lynn Belvedere.
Oh, but of course. You must be the father of one of my girls.
In that unlikely event, madam, I think you would recall my face. Your son sent me here. He gave me this card.
My son? You, Assistant Hasher? Oh, but that's silly.
I am in need of substance, madam. I chose this position.
Oh, you're just teasing me, Mr. Belvedere. You're not really a student. You don't really want to hash here.
If you will outline my duties, yes, really.
Oh, well, I feel it only fair to tell you the job offers very little opportunity.
With 20 undisciplined females in the house, I shall make my own opportunity.
Oh, yes. Well, if you'll just follow me, I'll introduce you to our cook.
Thank you.
And this is Mr. Belvedere, Martha. He's our new assistant hasher. Martha is our treasure, Mr. Belvedere. How do you do?
Megetra, tak, Martha.
Men det kan snacka norsk.
Selvsagt. Utmerket.
Why, Mr. Belvedere, you speak Norwegian.
I speak 11 tongues fluently, including the Indian Sign Language.
Won't that be nice for Martha?
Hiya.
Oh, Avery, I'm so glad you're here. I want you to meet your new assistant.
Assistant? What? To him?
Well, howdy-doody, Bellevue, old boy. So you're going to be my little helper.
Oh, you two know each other?
Unfortunately, yes. And I regret to inform you that I have just resigned.
What? Mr. Belvedere.
My dear Martha, I'm sorry our association was so short-lived. Given a little more time, I could have brought you to full flower as a cook.
If he quits, Mrs. Chase, they quit too. Oh, Martha, no. No, you can't. Oh, Mr. Belvedere, we get new job together. You can't quit, either of you. If anyone is going to quit around here,
Oh, gee whiz, Mrs. Chase. What have I done?
One moment, please. I recognize that Mr. Brubaker is inviting a proposal for compromise. Very well, Mr. Brubaker. During our working hours, we shall observe an armed truce. In the event of any aggression, I shall retain the veto power over your Tri-Gamma destiny. Agreed?
Huh? Well, yeah, I guess so.
Splendid. Fetch me a white jacket, Mr. Brubaker, and hop to it.
Huh? Yes, sir.
Tell me, Marta, come here. What is for dessert this evening?
Can pineapple.
Spare the can opener, Marta. The dessert will be my contribution.
You make? Oh, it's good.
And tonight, Mrs. Chase, we shall dine buffet. That is all. You may go now.
Boy, we're sure lucky to have Marta. Hey, look, everybody. Look what's coming in for dessert. What is it? Crepe Suzette?
Crepe Belvedere.
Crepe what?
That plate is not for you, Miss Auchincloss. Kindly be good enough to serve Mrs. Chase.
Oh, but I always wait on myself, Mr. Belvedere.
You are an elder, Mrs. Chase. Therefore, you will be seated, and Miss Auchincloss will serve you.
Oh, well.
Hey, get a load of this dessert. Is this stuff dreamy?
Miss Norman, appreciation of good cuisine should be demonstrated without benefit of dialogue or sound effects.
Sorry, Mr. Belvedere. Well, I, for one, don't need lessons in manners from a hasher.
Possibly not, Miss Auchincloss, but your appearance warrants comment.
Oh, such as?
Since you ask, I should advise you to make no claims which you cannot later prove.
Well, really?
I'm referring to your eyelashes, Miss Auchincloss. Obviously artificial.
Hey, have you got a minute?
Why, Bill.
Young ladies, please.
We can only stay a minute, Mom. I'd like to have you meet Ellen Baker. Ellen, this is my mother.
Oh, how do you do, my dear? Why, you must be new. I haven't seen you before, have I?
I guess not, Mrs. Chase. You see, I transferred here from Stanford for my senior year.
Oh, your home is in California?
Just outside of Burlingame.
Burlingame. Oh, of course. The Bakers of Burlingame. Oh, I danced once with Medbury Baker. Of course, I was much younger then.
You see, my family...
The Medbury Bakers. Well. Now, you two must stay and have coffee with me.
I'm sorry, Mom. We've got to blow.
But you will have dinner with us, Miss Baker, next week, maybe?
Oh, thanks. I'd love to.
Oh, splendid. Well, good night, Miss Baker.
Bill, what's this Medbury Baker business about?
Don't mind my mother. She's got bruises from jumping to conclusions.
Oh, girls, did you see who that was? Ellen Medbury Baker from Burlingame. Oh, wonderful family. Very distinguished. You know, you girls ought to rush her. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Belvedere. You were about to say something.
Yes, I, too, have a word for the young ladies. Now, then, as we conclude our first meal, I wish to comment on my observations. Miss Atkins, Miss Smith, Miss Harris.
Yes.
You have dined tonight with shirt tails out hanging. Sloppiness is definitely passé, even at Wellesley. Miss Willis, the Johnson twins.
Yes?
You were several minutes late. Henceforth, hours for meals will be rigidly enforced as follows. Breakfast, 7 to 8 a.m., lunch, 12 to 1 p.m., dinner, 7 to 8 p.m. 1 second late, no admittance. We shall now synchronize our watches. Are you ready? It is now precisely 8:02. Check?
Check.
Thank you. Good night, young ladies.
Thanks for the walk, Bill. It was so nice meeting your mother.
But why can't I come up? Come on, be nice. Invite me.
But I told you, Bill, I have to babysit. That friend of mine.
Mrs. Ashley, huh? But when do I see you again?
Do you want to? I wasn't very good company.
Oh, under my guidance, you'll improve. Tomorrow night? 7?
Okay, Bill. Tomorrow night.
And just be sure your friend gets someone else to hold hands with her little monster.
Yes, I'll tell her, Bill. Good night.
In a few moments, we'll bring you Act 2 of Mr. Belvedere Goes to College. And now, here's our Hollywood reporter, Libby Collins, with news about the stars.
You know, Barbara Stanwyck amazes me. Such a straightforward person in real life, but what a ruthless character on the screen.
It takes an actress of Barbara's caliber to play the high-tension role she has in her new picture, Thelma Jordan.
What a thriller Hal Wallace has just turned out for Paramount. Or perhaps I should say chiller. Thelma Jordan certainly made my blood run cold.
Well, that's what top-notch melodrama should do, Libby. and does when it's played by experts like Barbara and her co-star Wendell Corey.
Oh, yes. Wendell certainly gives a great performance as a career man ruined by a scheming woman.
And Barbara, what zest and vitality she brings to every picture she makes.
A great deal of glamour, too.
Yes, John. With her dark, smooth beauty, Barbara Stanwyck is glamour in person. One of her greatest charms, of course, is her creamy complexion. A lovely Lux complexion.
Everyone knows that Barbara's been a Lux girl for years.
Yes, indeed. She's really devoted to Lux toilet soap. And for all over Lux loveliness, she's delighted with the new bath-size cake.
This fine new product of Lever Brothers Company has made a hit in Hollywood. That's because it's luxurious enough to please Hollywood's loveliest stars.
That generous new cake makes a perfect beauty bath. Gives you lots of creamy lather and leaves a lovely, clinging fragrance on the skin.
The Lux soap perfume is blended by experts. It's made of costly ingredients brought from all parts of the world.
It always reminds me of a springtime bouquet.
No wonder screen stars, lovely women everywhere, are enthusiastic about the new bath-size Lux toilet soap. The whole family will enjoy this generous satin smooth cake. Get the bath-size Lux toilet soap tomorrow. Remember, this is the fragrant white soap 9 out of 10 screen stars recommend. Now, our producer, Mr. William Keeling.
Act 2 of Mr. Belvedere Goes to College, starring Clifton Webb as Mr. Belvedere, Robert Stack as Bill, and Colleen Gray as Ellen. Well, several days have gone by, and Mr. Belvedere has adapted himself to life in Clemens College. Or perhaps it should be stated that Clemens College has adapted itself to life with Mr. Belvedere. That is up till now, for Mr. Belvedere has received an urgent message to report to the office of Dean Gibbs.
I have been waiting for you, Mr. Belvedere, for almost an hour.
Then let's not dally, Dr. Gibbs.
Mr. Belvedere, have you seen this? Today's issue of the Daily Lion?
I gave that alleged newspaper the casual glance it deserves, nothing more.
You have openly violated your agreement with President Keating.
That is not true. I did not say those things for publication.
Famous author debunks college traditions. Thinks dinks stink. Female students concentrate on nothing but men. Athletes are subsidized. Mr. Belvedere.
My pithy observations, Dean Gibbs, were recorded by Miss Baker without my consent or knowledge.
Without your consent?
Definitely. Therefore, I intend to bring suit for libel, not only against this aspiring young lady, but against the university.
Well, now, Mr. Belvedere, let's not lose our heads.
Mine is securely seated, sir.
Yeah, but surely there must be a more sensible way of remedying
There
this.
is. Miss Baker and the editors of this absurd publication must be severely reprimanded.
But we can't do that.
Why not?
Well, this is a liberal university. The faculty can't tell students what to write. There'd be a revolt.
In that event, I shall relieve the faculty of this burden and take the matters into my own hands. Good afternoon.
But, Mr. Belvedere.
Yes?
Oh, good afternoon. I would like to
I'm
see...
sorry, but Mrs. Ashley isn't home.
Mrs. Ashley. But I'm calling on Miss Ellen Baker.
Oh, that's her maiden name.
How do you do, little boy?
Was Mrs. Ashley expecting you?
Oh, yes. Yes, she's expecting me.
Well, I'm just the babysitter. I don't know whether I should...
Play with me?
I should be delighted. Don't point that thing, little boy. Firearms are not for children. Put it down.
But it's just a make-believe... Mommy!
Hello, darling. You been a good boy for Mrs. Hall?
Just as good as gold, Mrs. Ashley.
With a little training, you can make a very fine gangster out of him.
Mr. Belvedere, what are you doing here?
Nothing half so fascinating as what you're doing, Miss Baker.
He said you were expecting him.
It's all right, Mrs. Hall. Just take Davy to his room, will you?
Come along, honey.
Goodbye, Daddy.
Daddy?
Davy, this man is not your daddy. Now run along. Isn't it a little presumptuous of you to come here uninvited?
Isn't it equally presumptuous of you to write an article about me without my consent?
Just because I was enterprising enough to pick up information about
What you wrote was not information, it was gossip. And in no less bad taste than if I were to write about your private, peccadillos.
Don't you dare call Davy a peccadillo. His father and I...
I am not the seat of judgment, Miss Baker. I am here merely to warn you that your future flights into journalism must not be taken at the expense of my name and reputation.
Mr. Belvedere, the truth is... Well, I've simply got to write about you again in detail.
And you expect me to consent?
You must consent. It means everything to me and Davy. When I first got the idea to write an article about you for the college paper, I saw possibilities way beyond that.
So you wrote to several national periodicals, huh? This reply from Look magazine is most interesting. It mentions the sum of $500.
You looked at that telegram on my desk?
Naturally.
Why, you're an unethical eavesdropper.
Yes, I am.
Let me write it. I'll write the best story you ever saw. Please, Mr. Belvedere, it's the start of a career for me.
And the definite end of one for me. Consent denied.
All right, I'll do it anyway. And you can't stop me. You're a public figure, and I don't need your permission.
Miss Baker, I shouldn't if I were you.
The least you could do is to give me a little time to explain what this means to me.
Miss Baker, I am still a freshman at the Clemens University. As such, I am compelled to attend the sophomore freshman track meet at 4 o'clock. Good day.
The score is now tied. 42 points for the sophomores, 42 points for the freshmen. Next and final event, the pole vault.
Gee, Mr. Belvedere, how can you just sit here and read a book? Didn't you hear what he said? The score's all tied.
I must ask you again, Cornelius, not to interrupt me. Furthermore, the month of November is an extremely unlikely time for young men to go flitting about in union suits. In any event, Cornelius...
Yes?
Get lost.
Now on the field, pole vaulting for the sophomores, Avery Brubaker.
Look at him, Mr. Belvedere. That's him. That's Avery out there.
Catching another cold, no doubt.
And he cleared it. Brubaker goes 12 feet 3 inches for the sophomores.
Oh, no, we're dead, Mr. Belvedere. We're cooked.
Kindly stop jiggling.
You don't understand why Galloway can't come near 12 feet.
Who is Galloway?
He's our entry, the freshman entry in the pole vault. Oh, gee, Mr. Belvedere, how can you be so calm and peaceful when these two dinks are in the balance?
I beg your pardon?
Holy smoke, don't you know? If we lose this pole vault to the Sops, we've lost the meet, and we're stuck with these dinks till next June.
And if we win?
Well, we get rid of our dinks right now.
Cornelius, into each life some rain must fall. Mr. Brubaker is about to get drenched.
Hey, where are you going? Mr. Belvedere! Hey!
Now vaulting for the freshman, Al Galloway in his third and final jump. The bar remains at 12 feet 3. Hey, hold everything. There's a substitute entry for the freshman. Replacing Galloway is Lynn Belvedere.
I don't get this, Mr. Belvedere. You mean to say you're going to jump without even changing your clothes or anything?
I shall roll up my trousers. Young man, at what height did Mr. Brubaker clear the bar?
12.3. Well, that's a new high for him.
Kindly tell the officials to set the bar at 14 feet.
14 feet? Okay, Mr. Belvedere.
Hiya, Mr. Belvedere.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brubaker.
You know, there are easier ways of committing suicide. A guy your age. You'll break your back going up and your legs coming down.
All set.
Gangway, please.
He made it. Belvedere clears the bar at 14 feet. The new coach for the freshman. The freshman wins.
Hey, Mr. Belvedere, what a jump.
Thank you.
Do you realize it was just 4 inches off the record set in 1922 by a guy named... Now, wait a minute. It's right here in the record book. By a guy named Lynn Belvedere.
That is correct. Here, have a dink.
Thanks for such a wonderful evening, Bill. I don't know when I've had such a nice time.
I don't know when I did either. Ellen, can't we just sit here for a while?
You sound much too serious, Bill.
About you? I'm very serious.
And there's something I'd better tell you, Bill. Oh, no, not here in the car. You'd better come upstairs with me.
Yeah, but when I called for you, you met me down here. You said the paint on the floor hadn't dried.
Well, I'm sure it's dry by now. Let's go up and find out.
Say, this is all right. Now, don't blame me for hiding out here.
Just sit down, Bill. There's someone I want you to meet.
Here we go again, the mysterious Miss Baker.
Mrs. Hall?
Oh, hello, Mrs. Ashley.
Davy asleep?
Oh, yes. He's been fine.
Here's your money. Thanks again for coming.
Anytime, Mrs. Ashley. Good night.
Oh, hello.
How do you do?
All right. Are you the one I'm supposed to meet?
I hardly think so. Good night.
Come here, Bill. He's in here.
He?
Shh. He's asleep.
Hey. Hey, what is this?
Remember the Mrs. Ashley, the one who needed a babysitter?
Say, he's kind of cute.
I think so. But then all mothers are prejudiced.
Mothers?
Let's go into the living room before he wakes up.
Oh, Ellen, I had no idea you...
He's mine, Bill. And here's a picture of his father.
Air Corps, huh?
20th Air Force, Bomber Group. He was killed 2 weeks before the Japanese surrender.
That's awful tough.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Why, no, but why have you kept it such a secret?
I've just tried to keep Davy separate from my college life. That's why I came here. At the last school, it was no secret, and, well, it took too many explanations.
Like now, huh?
I just thought you ought to know.
Oh, he's a swell kid, Ellen.
Bill, let's be honest. The fact that I'm a widow with a baby, it's just too much to take, isn't it?
Oh, you just sort of floored me, that's all. Look, I better run along. I still have some studying to do. See you in class tomorrow, huh?
Sure. See you in class tomorrow. Good night, Bill.
Now, take these groceries over to the cashier, Mr. Brubaker. Charge them to the Trigam house. I'll go to the meat department and pick up the turkey.
Yes, Mr. Belvedere.
And please stop sniffling.
Gee whiz, Mr. Belvedere, ever since you became a sophomore, you've been picking on me.
This will all seem mere bagatelle, Mr. Brubaker, when next week I become a junior.
Gosh, how fast things can change a fellow's life.
Hi.
Hiya, Butch.
Well, my name's Davy. Are you my daddy?
Me?
Hi, Daddy.
Oh, now, wait a minute. If you're looking for your old man, well...
Hello, Avery.
Oh, hi, Ellen. Hey, get a load of this kid.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mommy.
Bobby? For Pete's sakes, Ellen, is that yours?
Yes, that's mine. Come on, Davy.
Mr. Belvedere. Hey, Mr. Belvedere. Ellen Baker's here. She's just going out of the store.
I have eyes, Mr. Brubaker.
Yeah, but she's got a kid. Ellen Baker's got a kid. That's him with her.
See no evil, Mr. Brubaker.
Yeah, but... Yes, sir, Mr. Belvedere.
Why, Bill. Come in. Sit down.
Ellen, I've wanted to talk to you for days.
You don't have to explain, Bill. I understand.
No, I don't think you do.
Bill, you don't have to go through all this. You're doing it because you're nice and you feel you ought to.
You're never more wrong.
I don't blame you. I told you before. I'm a widow and I have a child. I know how you feel.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that was the way I felt. You see, you came at me kind of fast the other night. Well, it's taken me until now to get up enough gumption to face the competition. Davy and your husband.
Bill, I loved my husband. He was a wonderful person. I married him on leave. I guess we wrote more words and letters than we ever got a chance to say to each other in person. He was killed before Davy was born.
You don't have to tell me all this.
But I do. I'm proud I married him, Bill. I'm sorry he didn't get to see his son, but there's no competition.
Ellen, I love you. Don't you see? I want to build a home. Perfect timing. That'll be my mother.
Your mother? Hello? Oh, hello, Mrs. Chase. Oh, fine, thank you.
She wants you to have dinner at the Trigam
Dinner?
house.
Tonight? I'd love to. 7? Yes, I'll be there, Mrs. Chase. Thank you.
I'll drop by after dinner and we'll give her the big news, huh?
You were pretty sure of yourself, weren't you, chum?
No, ma'am. I was pretty sure of you.
Martha is so grateful you gave her the day off, Mr. Belvedere. And so am I. Oh, that turkey. I declare I've never tasted turkey like that before.
I've never prepared it for you like that before.
Mrs. Chase.
Yes, Avery?
Mrs. Chase, don't you have to be a single girl to be a member of a sorority? I mean, you can't have a family and belong, can you?
Well, of course not.
Then how come they're all rushing Ellen Baker, having her here for dinner and everything? Why, she's even got a little boy.
She's what?
The dishes, Mr. Brubaker.
A little boy.
Mrs. Chase, there's no cause for alarms and excursions. Many women have a son, yourself included. It requires no particular talent.
But she said nothing about it to me. Neither did Bill. But if there's a child, there must be a husband.
Not necessarily. Miss Baker is a relict. Relict means widow, madam.
That's what she says.
Speak no evil, Mr. Brubaker. What Mrs. Ashley says or does is no concern of yours. Those dishes are.
Well, it's of grave concern to me. Did you say Mrs. Ashley?
Yes, Ellen Baker Ashley, and she's no relation to the Ashleys of Newport, madam.
Oh. Excuse me, I'd better join the girls. And I do think I should have been told, Miss Baker. After all, I am Bill's mother.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Chase. Just that Bill asked me not to say anything until he gets here. Naturally, he wanted to be present when we told you about our engagement.
Engagement?
Well, yes. Isn't that what you're upset about?
Oh, this only makes matters worse, Mrs. Ashley.
Oh, I see. So Mr. Belvedere's been talking to you. You've heard about my little boy.
Yes, I have. And I must say that I'm surprised.
Yes, I'm sure you are.
Please, Mrs. Ashley, let me make myself perfectly clear.
You've made yourself clear. You and Mr. Belvedere. Good night, Mrs. Chase.
Ellen, it's Bill. Ellen, what happened?
Bill, please.
When I stopped by the Trigam house to pick you up, you were gone.
Ask your mother what happened.
I did ask her. I can't get anything out of her except my poor boy and that unfortunate girl. What did my mother tell you?
Everything that Mr. Belvedere told her. When she got through,
now, come on, honey. Calm down. You're all excited.
That's right. Stick up for your mother. She's 100% right, and I'm 100% wrong.
Ellen, this is you and me. Let's leave mothers and kids out of it.
Don't call Davy kids. You hate kids. You called him a little monster once.
I never... But that was before I met the little... Oh, you're being very, very unfair.
Something told me not to get involved with a man who has a mother.
Everybody has a mother. You can't help
Not
it.
when she listens to people like Mr. Belvedere. Well, this'll fix him. When I'm through with this article...
What article?
Bill, get out, please. I want to finish it and mail it to Look magazine tonight.
But you can't do that. He'll be expelled and you'll be expelled.
I simply won't argue with a man who's emotionally upset.
I am emotionally upset. Holy smoke. You women don't make sense. You don't think straight. You don't even... Oh, gosh, honey, what are we fighting about?
I told you before. Ask your mother and ask Mr. Belvedere.
All right, I will. Good night.
Who is it?
Bill Chase. I want to talk to Mr. Belvedere. Open this door, I'll break it down.
Who does that guy think he is, Mr. Belvedere? Talking to you like that.
Yeah, the nerve.
Now, you gotta open this door or not.
The door is unlocked, Mr. Chase.
I ought to let you have it.
I wouldn't wave your fists at me, Mr. Chase. I think it only fair to mention that during my Japanese period, I taught judo at Tokyo University.
Who told you to go sticking your snoot into other people's business?
I find your language insulting and obscure.
I'm talking about Ellen and me. You filled my mother a lot of nonsense about Ellen. And now she's called the whole thing off.
Mr. Chase, if you are under the delusion that I have come between you and this young lady, that is not true.
Oh, fine. Great. You've ruined my life. You've ruined Ellen's life.
Young man, unless I am mistaken, and I never am.
Yeah, that's right.
He never is.
Shut up.
You have agitated your metabolism to a point where your behavior is quite adolescent.
Adolescent?
It is true that you have a problem. Miss Baker is an attractive, intelligent, albeit overly ambitious young lady who has a baby.
That's none of your...
Your mother is a kindly, well-meaning, albeit overly possessive woman who has a son.
Is that your business?
The fact that you have failed to reconcile the 2 points of view to your advantage is your problem, Mr. Chase, not mine. Indeed, I view the whole matter with complete indifference.
I don't want to hear any more out of you. It doesn't matter so much anyway, because you won't be around here much longer.
And what do you mean by that?
Just wait. Wait until Ellen drops her bombshell on you. Tonight.
Gee, what a crisis.
What's he talking about anyway? Ellen's going to drop a bombshell. Here? Tonight?
Not here, Mr. Brubaker. In the mailbox, I fear.
Mr. Belvedere, where are you going?
There's no time to lose.
But you can't go out, not in your pajamas.
If you'll kindly hand me my top coat.
You'll catch your death of cold.
Apparently, Cornelius, you have never read Admiral Byrd's story. I am the only member of the expedition who didn't.
But, Mr. Belvedere, you can't go around the streets running around like that. It's 11 o'clock at night and Pajamarito week isn't until April.
I have no time in this emergency to take cognizance of false modesty.
But where are you going?
I am calling on Miss Ellen Baker. Good night, gentlemen.
We pause now for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
In a few moments, we'll bring you the third act of Mr. Belvedere Goes to College. Our guest tonight is Miss Helene Stanley, a brand new starlet at 20th Century Fox. I can see, Helene, why you passed your screen test so easily. Red hair and a lovely Lux complexion. That's a winning combination.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keeley. But of course, the screen test is only the beginning. I'm so grateful for the acting experience I've already had.
You specialized in singing and dancing roles, haven't you?
Yes, and that's why I spend so much time on the set of Dancing in the Dark. It's a behind-the-scenes story of studio life.
With William Powell being his debonair self as a famous actor.
Isn't he wonderful? And Mark Stevens is a romantic lead.
Yes, Dancing in the Dark is a happy experience altogether. Betsy Drake is a most engaging young songstress.
Yes, and isn't she a joy to look at?
And it's easy to see she's a Lux girl.
Indeed she is, Mr. Kennedy. Betsy Drake has one of the loveliest complexions I've ever seen. And I know she depends on Lux Soap facials to keep it that way.
Like other Hollywood stars, she finds it's a beauty care that works. You know, actually 3 out of 4 complexions became softer, smoother, in a short time with Lux Soap Care. Recent tests by skin specialists proved it.
It's such an easy, effective care. I know I wouldn't be without it.
Thanks, Miss Helene Stanley. I'm sure lovely women everywhere agree that Lux Toilet Soap gives delicate skin gentle, protecting care it needs. If you haven't tried it, why not begin your Lux Soap facials tomorrow? Remember, Lux Toilet Soap is the fragrant white beauty soap 9 out of 10 famous screen stars use. Here's our producer, Mr. William Keeley.
The curtain rises on the third act of Mr. Belvedere Goes to College, starring Clifton Webb as Mr. Belvedere, Colleen Gray as Ellen, and Robert Stack as Bill. 30 minutes ago, Mr. Belvedere left the dormitory at Clemens College and hastened to Ellen Baker's apartment. Now, there'd be nothing very unusual about that were it not for the fact that it's late at night and Mr. Belvedere's attire consists of pajamas, bedroom slippers, and a top coat. Obviously, Mr. Belvedere's very anxious to see Ellen, but Ellen hasn't the slightest desire to see him. She's refused to open the door, whereupon the very determined Mr. Belvedere has commenced an ascent up the fire escape.
All right, brother. Now start climbing down that fire escape.
I beg your pardon?
We just happen to be police officers, mister, so get down here and start explaining.
As you wish, gentlemen, but I assure you this is a mistake.
Yeah, and you made it. Look at him, Al. In pajamas, yes. Stick out your mitts, brother, and no false moves.
Stop calling me brother. I can conceive of no circumstance in which you and I could be remotely related.
Come on, let's get him out of here.
No, but you can't do this to me. I'm a student at the university.
Get him, Al, a student. How long you been going to school, Jack? 20 years?
There's a young lady in this apartment house who knows me very well.
Yeah, and I suppose you was calling on her, huh?
Exactly.
In pajamas? Okay, wise guy. What's her name?
Ellen Baker. That is Mrs. David Ashley. And if you don't believe me, why don't you ask her? 3rd floor, apartment D. Well?
Let's take him up, Al. If this lady don't know him, this could develop into a very interesting case. Okay, college boys, start moving. Sorry to disturb you, lady, but we found this mug on the fire escape. He said he had to see you. How about it, mister? You know this guy?
Know him?
Well, Miss Baker, kindly identify me. We may have had our differences, but I know I may rely on your innate sense of fair play.
Officers, I never saw this man before in my life.
That does it, Jack. Boy, are you under arrest.
May I inquire on what charge?
Peeping Tom.
Peeping Tom?
Good night, officers, and thank you very much.
Peeping Tom, huh? Okay, what's your name?
John J. Doe.
A wise guy, huh? Okay, Mr. Doe. We'll just dump you in the drunk tank and refresh your memory. Take the handcuffs off him, Al.
That will not be necessary. Here you are.
Hey! Hey! You didn't lock the handcuffs.
Of course I locked him. The guy's a Houdini.
I taught Mr. Houdini.
Frisk him. Find out who he is.
Yes, Sarge. Sure.
Sergeant, you will long remember this dank, turgent night to your regret.
You sure this guy ain't top-heavy?
You will discover that I'm no more sane and much more sane than you are. To wit, I know that you have the legal right to hold me for 48 hours. I also know that I have the right to make one telephone call.
Yeah, who do you think's running this joint?
You are, sir, and I suggest you enjoy it while you may.
You don't scare me, Pop. All right, there's the phone booth. Make your legal call.
Number, please.
Operator, this is Lynn Belvedere. I want to call Washington, D.C., person to person, and reverse the charges.
With whom do you wish to speak, please?
Mr. J. Edgar Hoover.
Hey, Sarge, did you hear him? J. Edgar Hoover.
I heard him. Throw him in the drunk tank. Hey, you. Belvy.
Sarge, look at him. He's standing on his head.
You should try it sometime. Yoga. Very refreshing. Well, Sergeant, has my call from Washington come through?
Not yet, and don't give us any more of that stuff. We called the local FBI, see? Nobody ever heard of you.
They shall.
In the meantime, there's some people here to see you.
Show them in, please.
Outside! This tank ain't no parlor, mister.
That is quite apparent. Adieu, classmates.
So long, chum, and thanks for showing us how to pick the lock.
You showed them what?
You'll find out, Sergeant. You'll find out.
There he is, Mr. Brubaker. There's Mr. Belvedere.
You okay, Mr. Belvedere?
I was the one who brought Mrs. Chase and everyone, Mr. Belvedere.
In time, I shall determine whether to thank you or not, Cornelius.
Well, Mr. Belvedere, this here young lady has explained everything. About knowing you, that is.
Good evening, Ellen.
Good evening.
So we'll call it all a mistake, Mr. Belvedere, and drop the whole thing? Okay?
On the contrary, I shall fight my arrest through to the highest authority, and I demand a hearing, and now.
Gee, another crisis.
But she dropped the charges.
Miss Baker, why did you drop the charge?
Because I couldn't sleep.
That was your conscience. I slept perfectly.
Yeah, he sleeps upside down.
I just can't stand here, Sergeant, and swear I've never seen him before. Because I have seen him before. But I hope I never see him again. And that goes for one or two other people here, too.
Well, if you'd only listen to me, Ellen, I could...
Mr. Belvedere, I wish you could do something to bring them together. Ellen won't speak to Bill, and Bill won't speak to me. Oh, please.
What is in that envelope, young lady?
The article I wrote about you for Look magazine.
Why haven't you mailed it?
Because I just finished it.
I won't let her mail it, that's why.
Just try and stop me.
You'd be foolish to try, Mr. Chase. Let her blast my college career and her own. Let her go on to a shabby success, dragging her ill-fed offspring behind her.
There'll be nothing shabby about Ellen's success. And Davy's no ill-fed offspring. He's a darn fine little...
Yes, I'm sure
You
he is.
keep out of this, Mother.
Oh,
Mr.
Bill.
Chase, be wary of women who are hag-ridden with emotion and ambition.
I am not hag-ridden with ambition. I'm just tired.
Oh, Ellen.
On guard, Mr. Chase. One does not reason with an emotional young woman.
I'm not emotional. All I want to do is graduate from college and keep Davy and have a home and...
Yes?
Oh, all right. Here, take your old story.
Thank you.
Look, would you parties mind continuing this outside my police station?
Hello? Yep. Huh? Yeah, he's right here. It's for you, Mr. Belvedere. From Washington.
Thank you. Hello? Hello, Edgar. Yes, there was some trouble, but I've taken care of it myself. Oh, no, I don't think it'll be necessary. Oh, and you too. Well, well, thanks for calling, Edgar. Goodbye. Any questions, Sergeant?
Oh, no, sir. No questions, sir. Would you like a squad car to drive you home, maybe?
Thank you, but I shall walk home to the dormitory with Cornelius.
Gee whiz, J. Edgar Hoover. Oh, thanks, Mr. Belvedere. I'll enjoy the walk very much.
Good night, everyone. Come along, Cornelius.
Right,
Come again, Mr. Belvedere. Come again.
Now, my instructions are quite simple, Cornelius, but you will kindly repeat them.
Oh, sure, Mr. Belvedere. I take this envelope that Miss Baker gave you to the all-night drugstore, and I buy some stamps, and I mail it. Gee whiz, Mr. Belvedere, you'd think I was dumb or something.
Far from it, Cornelius.
But, well, there's one thing I don't get. I thought all this was because you didn't want the magazine to print.
Never mind that, Cornelius. And if you know what's good for you, remember that in a few short weeks, I shall be a senior.
Oh, I won't tell anybody, Mr. Belvedere. Gee, not even J. Edgar Hoover.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the closing chapter in the 75th commencement exercises of Clemens University. The presentation of the diploma to a man who has singularly distinguished himself in the outside world as well as in our own academic world.
Well, they finally got around you, Mr. Belvedere.
The most boring ceremony I've had the misfortune to witness since they gave me the Morehouse Award.
Well, I wouldn't trade my diploma for
Past
anything.
valedictorian, the only man in the long history of Clemens to have earned his degree in 1 year, Mr. Lynn Belvedere.
Mr. Belvedere, congratulations. You are not only a great scholar, but a man of principle. And I want to thank you for keeping your bargain.
Bargain, President Keating?
About the publicity and notoriety, I mean.
Oh, not at all, President Keating.
And now, it gives me great pleasure to hand you your diploma.
Thank you, Dean Gibbs. And it gives me great pleasure to present you with this.
But, Mr. Belvedere, a copy of Look magazine.
The cover. Look what it says. Mr. Belvedere Goes to College by Ellen Baker Ashley.
I kept my word, sir. Remember, you just graduated me.
And a picture of us, here, on the stage, handing you your diploma. Why, Mr. Belvedere, this just happened. This is impossible.
Yes. Yes, it is.
We certainly don't need any cheerleaders to let our stars know how much we like Mr. Belvedere Goes to College. And now it's curtain call time for Clifton Webb, Colleen Gray, and Robert Stagg. Clifton, as Mr. Belvedere, you've certainly done it again.
Yes, I find it most depressing.
Depressing? Depressing to be famous?
Well, there should be a certain dash to success. Now, after some 30 years in the theater, I find it depressing to achieve notoriety as a babysitter and a pole vaulter.
Oh, you don't like this fame, then, huh?
I love it.
You know, I'm sure the audience wants to know about the future of Mr. Belvedere.
Well, Mr. Belvedere is never predictable. Only one thing is certain about his future. It'll never be dull.
He always has something new, just like Lux soap. I've used Lux soap for years as a complexion care, and now they've brought out the new bath size. Don't you think the new bath size of Lux soap is grand, Mr. Webb?
My dear, don't be naive. Who do you think invented the new bath size?
You mean it was Mr. Belvedere?
That is correct.
I'm sure Mr. Belvedere already knows, but you might tell the rest of us about next week's play, Bill.
Well, next week's play is tuneful, it's amusing, it's romantic. And as for the stars, 3 of your favorites, Robert Cummings, Anne Blythe, and William Bendix. The play is a gay musical story for the whole family. The Universal International picture, I'll Be Yours.
That's a very entertaining prospect, Bill. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, and come again.
Welcome back to Yesterday Today. Unfortunately, our show is ending now, as that was the last episode in the lineup today, Lux Radio Theater. So to recap the day's events, Sydney's making cheese in the closet. We have a milkman now.
Yep, pretty normal.
Apparently, we're professors at a college, and Mondo is staring at a wall.
Everything's checking out so far. Nothing too unusual.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can charge my now weekly psychiatrist visits to my insurance company. So that's going to be taking up the rest of my schedule.
Probably. There might be something with the with Medicaid about that, but you should be
Yeah,
able to
I think
get that.
tomorrow I'm gonna ring old Willie up and see what's happening there.
I mean, Willie's pretty experienced, so I was just gonna ask him like how many years I might be serving.
As a professor?
No, in jail. In jail, because we're definitely all going to jail for fraud.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Alright, well, until next time, folks. Yesterday Today.
Hey, good news! The wall has not made a single suspicious move the entire time.
I know you're the right guy for the job, Mondo.
Thanks, Mondo.
Left to serve you.